Welcome to a Delco Nerd Network hot take. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've never seen a hot take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement. We like to give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a game, and that game is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. My name is Anthony Ragucci, and with me, not as always, but he's the cream to DNN or Oreo, but there's only one cookie. Trio, detached, he's gone, he got eaten. Matt Penza. Thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate it.
Me.
It's been a bit.
I don't remember the last one.
I would either say Baldur's Gate 3 or Helldivers. So that was like over a year ago. Yeah. So welcome back. I found it interesting that you even played this game. So I want to start off with you. I wouldn't say you're usually like a JRPG kind of guy or this kind of RPG kind of guy. Obviously, you play your things like, what's the RPG that you play a lot?
World of Warcraft?
Yeah, but there's one on the console. Baldur's Gate. You play Baldur's Gate, things like that. But like this is not necessarily your bag. So I'm curious as to maybe say why you got it and then how you felt about it as somebody not traditionally into Final Fantasy.
So I remember when this was announced and I was like, they showed it and it was turn-based and I was like, okay. Then they showed like the parry system and shit like that. I was like, all right, that's like something I never seen in a turn-based game. Mm-hmm. Like, you kind of have to like pay attention to what you're doing. Yeah. Like you don't just like make your turn and then wait 10 minutes for the enemy to do all their turns, stuff like that. I was like, all right, this is like pretty interesting. Then the game came out and got crazy reviews, like rave reviews. People were like, this game's incredible. And I was like, all right.
Too good, to be honest.
And I was really only playing World of Warcraft like when this came out. And it was like towards the end of the phase for SOD, and I was like, all right, like I kind of need to play something else. And it was like just perfect timing where I was like, all right, I'm gonna pick up Clair, and I was blown away.
Nice.
And I think without like really loving Baldur's Gate, because Baldur's Gate's kind of pretty much the first turn-based game I played.
Oh, okay.
And because of like the D&D connections in Baldur's Gate 3 is
right. You had your in.
Why I was like interested in playing it. Mm-hmm. And I loved it, and I was like, you know what? I think I might like turn-based games a lot. But then I haven't picked up another turn-based game until Clair.
Nice.
And, I mean, the game is like... I think the game's amazing in general, but that parrying and dodge system, I think, is like... It's I can't believe there hasn't been like a turn-based... Maybe there has.
Right, something to innovate quite like that.
Yeah,
with a turn-based system that's back and forth, very simple.
That's like 30, 40 years old by this point.
I agree. It adds this aspect to the game that just kind of propels the gameplay to like the next level, but it's so simple.
Yeah.
It's not like this grand new idea.
Crazy.
It's like you can dodge and you can parry, but you're not doing it in an active action sort of way. Like you're just standing there.
And as like a FromSoft fan, I love the parry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
so,
I
thought
you were gonna go with it.
You know what? I was like, this might be on my alley. And it ended up being. Currently, I still think it's my game of the year.
Okay,
I got to get through Death Stranding 2.
Yeah, it's like you got to beat Death Stranding.
Death Stranding 2, it might.
It's going to be a tough year for game of the year. Like Kingdom Come, like I don't think Clair Obscur Expedition 33. While I do love it, I don't think it's a game of the year. I think there are a lot of problems with this game that. Sorta, it seems like just were forgotten about. Not things that are unpolished or bad. It's just like there's like no maps. Where's my like side quest?
I wish there was.
Thing?
I wish there was side maps or something.
Why can't I look at the map and see like what I've gotten there and the levels? And there were so many points in the game where I was trying to do side content. And I just was entirely lost.
You had to use like guides.
Yeah, and I'm just like I don't even know what I've done to know what I have to do. And that happened especially at the end where it's like, all right, like I'm about to go fight spoilers, Renoir, and I just want to do some wrap up. Yeah. I'm not going to do everything.
I just flew around.
But like doing the relationships beforehand was the only thing I ended up doing, and I thought that was good, but like I'm like, where do I even go for these? And there's so many zones that I'm like, have I been here?
Yeah, I had to look up guides for the.
They have the danger thing. Like how? Like I'm at the end of the game. Like,
I know.
Am I under leveled?
I actually never really went in to any of the danger spots.
I think that's okay because I think this is a game
even
where
late in the game where I was like, I probably should have, but I was still like, all right, I guess I'm not high enough level still.
Yeah, like you can seemingly get by pretty well. And
yeah, just parry.
I think all that. Yeah, I think all that side stuff is for post game. It really doesn't feel like Like, I never felt like the game wanted me to go back to do anything, even though I, like, occasionally did, especially in the beginning. And I just got to a point where, like, it's just more of a headache to try to go back and try to find something. And, like, where am I going?
Some of the side stuff's big, dude. Like, some of the stuff's huge.
Like all the Nevron stuff, I think, leads to something. But again, it's just like, I have no way to track this. I don't know. Like,
yeah, there's no. That's the only like critique I have about it.
And somebody was kind of telling me like, oh, it's like classic Final Fantasy, but I'm like, it's not. Sure, okay, that's of its time though. Classic Final Fantasy, like, games were different back then. It's not like they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
So for this, they either didn't include it or they did it on purpose. But it's 2025. That's not the style of games that exist. I'm all cool. I'm all fine with looking for secrets. It's like
quality
of
life stuff.
That's really the problem. But let's go back to the parry system, because while I feel it's great, I feel like it doesn't. It makes the game very not casual. You can't just kind of sit back and like
Boulder's Gate, where like you make your move and then you wait for them to do their moves, and then it's like you can put the controller down and
like kind of think. Well, I mean, you can do that in this, but
you put your controller down in this, you're gonna get smoked.
Right, you can let them attack you, and there's nothing you can do. But in this, it's like, yeah, exactly. And it's like, dude, sometimes these monsters, I'm like, holy fuck, like I cannot get this timing down.
Yeah.
And I ended up like dodging. I didn't always parry, but like sometimes with the bosses, like you need to parry. Like you need to get those damage hits in when you can. Like for one of Renoir's fights, like the second to last one, the last one when he's like the painted version. Like that fight, I was dodging at first. I'm like, no, I gotta parry. And parry does so much damage, and there is a lot of build combination between all the characters, and there's a lot of fun and neat stuff. I don't know if Mael is still OP, but like she is. I think all the characters can kind of be OP. At least Verso and Minoko and Mael.
Yeah, it was pretty much just like Verso and Mael for me when I was playing like late game. Like they're just gonna dish out a ton of damage. Like I got you get the sword for Mael where she's automatically in the Versios or whatever it is stance. Like the power.
The green one.
No, the purple one.
Or the purple one.
It's Versos or something like that.
Why can't I remember it?
I know.
Defense, offensive.
There's so many like weird like names.
Virtuous.
Yeah, virtuous.
Yeah.
And then you get the other one for. I got the other one for Verso where like he's automatically in S stance.
Yeah.
So like you start the.
I love the berserk attack with him with the low health, like,
and then like
you got the break damage limit, changes the game.
Yeah, and then you're just like you have the Pictolos, right? Is that how we're saying it? I was calling Piccolos, but
Pictos
that like you can attack twice and like all this stuff. So you're building this. You have this build where you're just dishing out a ton of damage at the start of the fight. You know, where you have Verso go first, and he has that Picto where he goes first, and then the other ones all have it. So you're all fighting before pretty much the enemy fights.
Oh,
and you're just dishing out damage.
I never did that when they all fight first. Why didn't I ever think about that?
And then you're each going twice, so like you're just dishing out damage, and then it's like, all right, now you gotta.
The Pictos really do change the game, because what I found out in the late game, it's like, okay, everyone should have the instant res, everyone should have the on death do this,
and they can have it. Like the system's really good, where like if you have enough of the Luminos. You know, you don't have to just say, "Oh, this Pictos is really good, and I wish I could have it on more than one character." You can, you know, if you collected enough of the Luminos where they can all have it enough. And I was pretty much like Mael, Verso, and Loon for like no, not Loon,
Lune.
Yeah, I think it was Lune. No, Lune. Yeah, Lune. Those are pretty much the three that I ran for the majority of the game.
See, I kind of liked having, like, I rotated through them all, as you can imagine. But I liked having, like, the backup crew, because it's like, okay, I beat a few bosses in the last 2 turns with my backup crew. Like, that came in clutch many times. So, like, not having them prepped to go. I played on expert.
I just played on regular.
Yeah, so dude, some of the bosses were a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, and some of those like and a lot of times with these bosses in the game, it's like a FromSoft game where it's like you're not gonna one time
Dark Souls guys.
Yeah, you're not gonna one shot them. Like you gotta learn the moveset and learn how to parry.
Yeah,
and
especially towards the end. Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, I know what to do. Like I'm gonna time this all up and you know.
Like I remember that lamp boss, the one before you meet Renoir and Verso. Like I was like, holy shit, this is tough, and then I figured it out. Done. Yeah. Like it was essential. I do feel like all the bosses while extremely challenging, are very doable, and it's very rewarding to get through it.
Yeah.
Like, figure out what you need to do.
No, dude, the gameplay in this is like, even though it's turn-based, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like, and I think it really just comes down to like that they have this dodge and parry system. That's another turn-based game.
It makes it stand out because, like, you know, we have Persona and Metaphor, and they're turn-based RPGs, not square RPGs, but turn-based RPGs, but they don't do this.
No.
Where, yeah, I remember, like you were saying at the start, seeing that gameplay and being like, whoa.
Yeah,
like,
when it was released,
what
I was like,
is
this looks
this?
sick.
This looks insane.
Then I was like, Charlie Cox. I was like, Charlie Cox? I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's a small French studio, and like...
And, you know, it's funny. He's, like, barely a part of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have Ben Starr and Jennifer English playing...
and I'm pretty sure, what's his name?
Shadowheart. Yeah.
Robert Pattinson, they use his face, did they not?
No, it looks
Okay.
like him, though.
Right?
I would agree with that. Yeah, it does look like him. Yeah, but then you have not Benedict Cumberbatch, Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
Like the voice
They got some
talent
big
and
names
all the
in
roles
this.
are really good. But like this game feels AA. It doesn't feel too big. And I mean, you see that in the map design. One thing I don't love is the environments. It's all like ruined things, everything. And I'm like, all right, okay. I get it. Like
No,
the
you got
world's
a really cool one early on with the underwater, and you're like, oh, this is sick. And
Yeah.
then, like,
And then it just gets very samey. Ruined French shit, ruined
Yeah.
water stuff. And like, okay, like it's very the maps are very linear, which I'm fine with, but again, they all kind of have the same vibe. There's no mini map, which again, maybe for a linear map, maybe a mini map isn't necessary.
if they were to do another game, I don't know, sequel, but another game, I mean, they have like, I can imagine it's gonna be, you know, more enemy variety. They're probably gonna put into like the mini map stuff. You know, like I think
lot
the
of
studio
QOL,
going
yeah.
again, will figure that out. But yeah, it's the same. Like you run around some of these maps, I'm like, you're trying to get every single corner because there's always something somewhere.
Right.
You know, like they did a good job in these maps where like, oh, is there something behind this little? Oh, you know, there is something behind there. You know.
Right.
But without the map, it's hard to.
Yeah, and then you run into the chromatic Nevrons, and you can't fight them, and you got to go back to them. Where was it? I don't know.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to find it? You know, like there's too much to remember. But you know, again, I don't think this game is the second coming of Christ. Like it's kind of being made out to be, or at least when it first came out. It is good, but it's not. It's got a lot of problems. And I think those problems just come from just being a new studio. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
there's kinks to unkink. You know, it's not like, oh, this game is unpolished and there's clearly a lot of issues. No, it's not that. It's just like, hey, like this is like Sandfall's first crack at a game, and they're also a
they
small
knocked it out of the
studio.
park and some stuff. Like the
music.
music is incredible.
Yeah,
I think the story,
very
I think the writing's
identifiable.
really good too.
Yeah, I think the story, like, I like
cool
from
story,
the instant it starts, they really hook you in, and I can't really explain why. I think the game is extremely sad. It
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy
But
X.
it's also it has a ton of humor in it as well.
Yeah, between the Esky and the Gestrels,
Yeah.
like there is a lot of humor, sort of like how Final
the
Fantasy games
gestural
do.
city or
'Cause-
town or whatever is hilarious.
Yeah, I mentioned Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X has a very similar kind of story where like the world is about like people dying, and like that's all the world is about, is this like cycle of death. And that's sort of the same thing with Clair Obscur. It's like every year an age group gets gommaged. I don't know what that I think I googled what that word is in French, but you know they essentially just disappear. And like that's sort of like, you know, they introduce you on everyone who's 34 dying. Gustav's girlfriend Sophia, well, ex-girlfriend, dies, and then, you know, Expedition 33 goes off to kill the Paintress, as all the expeditions have done before, and they immediately get fucked up. And that's, you know, that's kind of where the story starts. But yeah, that hook in the beginning is pretty powerful. There's just really this big moment, and then the game kind of settles down for a while. But there are a lot of mysteries and things going on. You're like, yeah, who's this old dude? Like, how is he just killed us all instantly? Like, it is very interesting and mysterious. And it kind of reminds me of Death Stranding in a way. Like,
a little bit. I think I said that too. I was like, this kind of gives me like Kojima vibes. I think that's what I said.
because
More than
it's
Death
like
Stranding,
weird, and it's like,
Kojima
what
vibes.
is going on here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're just, you have a lot of questions, and they do answer them.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't want to get into spoilers, but
Yeah, I mean, go for it. I mean, I don't know what you were gonna say. But
I knew from the get-go that Mael was the sister.
Yeah, there seemed to, I'm like, obviously they're the same
From the
but
get-go,
but like,
dude.
what are they?
Once they showed her, I was like, is that Mael? I was like, oh.
Right, it's clearly Mael, but like,
Yeah.
why do they look alike?
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that part really interesting.
I would love to know more about like the writers versus. They should do something with like the writers versus the painters.
Yeah,
Because they like touched on it, but I was like, wait, well, like,
in the ending, I not that I was getting
it's not like
confused,
there was like a war on the outside.
but
with
I
the
was
writers
trying to
versus
put together
painters.
dots. I'm like, what exactly is
It
going
sounded
on?
really interesting.
Yeah, like why? Like, how do they have this magic? Like, obviously, it's not our world. I was kind of thinking we were gonna find out it is our world, but it's not because it's like
Yeah.
the French inspiration and like the Eiffel Tower being in the game. I'm like, is this like Paris? Like, is this France? And it's like, no. I mean, obviously, that's where the devs are from, so that's what inspires the game, and I think is what gives it its charm.
Yeah.
Like, just like JRPGs, the Japanese aspect gives it charm, and here it's again another culture giving.
FRPG.
Yeah, an FRPG. I wonder if that will ever stick. If there's more.
But yeah,
games
they like
that.
touched on like late in the game to kind of find out like, oh, like their families are painters and then there's like some magic or some ability they have. They mentioned like a few times about the writers versus the painters, and like it sounds like a war was going on or something in the
And
outside
Clea
world.
is like fighting it alone or
It's-
something like
it's-
that.
And I was like, I want to know more. You never really like get
Get
to
the
bottom-
context. Yeah.
I would love to see them like maybe do like a prequel or dive into like something like that, with like the writers versus the painters or something like that.
Yeah. 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 I mean, what did you think of the moment when it's revealed that like the world is fake? And
Yeah.
like all these characters, they're not real, and even Mael isn't real, but she is real. She's Alicia.
Yeah, and they're holding on because it's not Gustav. What's the?
Verso?
Oh, it's Verso. Verso,
Yeah.
and he is Verso in this. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
Because Verso, died, but they're hanging on to his painting, which is like the last glimpse of like his soul, more or less, or like
Right,
they're,
because
like,
he made the
yeah,
gestrals and
they haven't got rid of him and all this. They haven't got rid of it. Like they haven't closed that chapter of their life, more or less. It was interesting.
Yeah, that's the whole story is
Yeah.
about this like trauma that like this whole family's not willing to let go of.
And like the mom and the dad are like pretty much like stuck in the mom more than dad, but are like they're stuck in the world and they're not willing to come out
Yeah,
because like
not really
it's-
willing to face reality.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you a question. What do you do at the end?
This is gonna be an interesting
Let it
conversation.
burn or no?
Yeah.
I didn't.
So here's my thing. It's not real. I know it's real to them, but like, kind of think about it like as a game. Like, say a game was like this living, breathing thing. Like, maybe think about it like as like. Have you seen Tron?
Yeah.
And like the grid. Like
Yeah.
it's alive, but it's not real. It's like
Like
you
the
wouldn't
Matrix. It's
sacrifice.
like the Matrix a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. You wouldn't sacrifice this secondary world for things in your own one. So like acting like escaping reality to like forever live in this fantasy just seems kind of like reductive.
I don't know. I looked at it in the sense of like Mael in the real world, she's all burnt up and screwed up. Like her face is all burnt and she has that trauma. And Verso's dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, but if we kind of, she's got a better life in the painted world than
Yeah,
the real
for
world.
sure. But it's
So I
like
was
it's
all
not.
right, I'm gonna stick with
I know
him.
she can't talk. She's scarred. She has one eye. Like she's disabled for all intents and purposes. But like that doesn't mean should not have hope or like not think it's like over. Like I get it. It sucks.
Yeah, but even once.
Well, maybe
she,
I don't. I don't
even
know.
like
It's
she
like
learned
to
that she
not
was,
be able to talk.
that was her on the outside. She still wanted to stay in there.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, that's her decision. Screw it. And I kept them in there.
So what happens with my ending is like, they let go. They're all over Verso's grave and they're grieving.
Yeah.
Clea comes back and it's like it seems like they're comforting each other and they're finally like taking the steps to move on. But obviously it's sad. Like, their family seems like irrevocably kind of changed. Obviously Alicia is from the burns, disabled. And whatever this war is, I guess, is still going on. So what happens in the other ending?
I'm trying to like remember, which is silly. Mael takes control of like the painted world, and like they kind of like, like the people are quote unquote trapped in it, but like it's her world and she's trying to make it like better than.
So does she become like the paintress?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
in a manner of speaking.
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, she doesn't continue the number thing.
Yeah, and they think like, and she's pretty much trapped in like a cycle, more or less. Mael.
So she has to gomage them still.
No, just like a cycle of just like denial.
Right.
Yeah.
I heard somebody talk about it, and like, is there a scene with Verso on like a piano or something like that, and she like tells him like not to stop or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. Like, Verso is a very interesting character because, like, you know something's up. You know he knows things because he's in a lot of scenes kind of like not talking and just kind of like, letting things happen.
And it's a weird deal because like Verso is dead, but he's alive in this world. But he's trying to save his real life mother on the outside. He wants to get her untrapped from the world that she's in here,
right?
By like essentially killing himself and ending that world. It's like a weird conflict that he has internally because he's like he knows he's dead, but he knows that his family's alive on the outside, and the only way to save them is to pretty much kill his world here
and himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean when he sees himself as a kid, like it does seem kind of cruel that like there's this like fake version of him like that's made to suffer because his family can't let go of him. It is a really deep story.
Well, you gotta defeat Verso in that ending as well.
Yeah, so I fought Mael.
Yeah,
and I beat her. But I like how it's like it's not really like a difficult fight.
No.
I was kind of glad. I'm like, don't be like an actual boss fight.
Mm-hmm.
You do fight Alicia in if you do Mael's relationship thing.
That was cool, and that's like that's a crazy
that was so long
like environment, like you're climbing up and all this
again
stuff.
Really cool in a way, but like just a ruined tower, like everything's always ruined. The story is wild. I don't know if we're gonna get a sequel to it. It doesn't seem likely. I would actually rather not. Like I want them to do another game like this, but like
the only reason,
unless they have some other story to tell, this seems like the book's been closed.
Like a prequel.
Yeah,
I think that's how they'd had to do it.
Expedition 70 something.
Or you do like we were talking about with the writers and the painters.
Yeah. Do you see the other characters at the ending? Like, how do they react? Because they know.
I forget,
dude. When they're getting killed,
yeah, they know. But yeah.
So
but it's their world too,
right? But they. Yeah. Well, okay, so when you destroy it, and Verso, like, they're all kind of coming in and, like, gomaging, and it's like, Lune and Skiel are just kind of, like, looking at you and just kind of, like, they're kind of, like, mad, kind of sad, but, like, maybe this is the right thing. Like, there's, like, the look on their face, they don't say anything. Like,
Skiel, like, is still trying to, in the hopes that she can get, like, her husband back.
Yeah, so you can romance Lune or Skiel.
Yeah.
And I ended up, like, accidentally, I think, romancing Skiel, but like we banged apparently, but I didn't I think she wanted to get, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, I did Lune. But I think if you do that with Skiel, you can't get Lune.
What? Back out of it?
Yeah, like you can't. It's like in like
it's one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? It seemed very like contextual to just my choices. Like I didn't really care. But it would make sense that maybe
I was running around Lune the whole game, so I was like, all right, I'll romance.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, well, and it's good it happened like that because it makes sense for your playthrough. But like for what this game is, JRPGs you really think they're these big grand things. I mean, I think this game can be big, but like I think 20 to 30 hours is a bit short. Like what everyone says they finished the game.
I don't know what my playtime was.
My playtime was in the 50 hours.
Let's see if I can
look at it on PlayStation.
Yeah,
I think you can. But like when people were saying I finished the game in like 20 hours, I'm like, what?
I know.
No way.
Because like I spent
it's not long, but it's not short.
I probably spent like an extra week. When I say week playing, like a few days playing. Like when I knew I was pretty much at the final boss, I was like, I'm just gonna fly around. Because like the traversal's great once you have everything.
Yeah, I love how SKA. So in Final Fantasy games in the classics, you get boats, land vehicles, and you eventually get you can get a submarine, you can fly. So they kind of like took that idea of like progressing the world map into like a kind of just like, oh, it's a character who can fly.
I don't know, where does it say playtime?
Your time played? I don't know in the app off the top of my head. I know it's on Xbox.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wait. Recently played. I can see like on Death Stranding I have 20 hours. Like right on the front as soon as you open it. Look. Right there. So as soon as you
Okay.
yeah. So you might have to scroll down. I only have the last 3.
I only got the last 3.
Yeah.
61 hours, Lies of P. That DLC's fun.
I can't wait to get around
Night
that.
Rain 37.
We're reviewing Night Rain on Tuesday.
Games. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I got 20 in DS too. Death Stranding.
Yeah, so we're both probably around the same point.
You seen my stuff up there? Oh,
I
I'm sorry,
did.
we're getting off-
No, I saw your paths. Dude, I love that. It's so cool. Especially since like with the first one, I felt like I had that with like a few people, but like with the second one, I'm having it with like a ton of
Yeah,
people.
I think when I played the first one, it was like a little bit later, so like
right.
I don't know, like when you're
Not
playing
all your
everyone-
friends are
when
playing at the
everyone
same
else is
time.
playing, it's
Yeah,
cool.
and you're making the contracts. But anyway, yeah, I feel Clair Obscur's length is good. You know, I'm coming off of Death Stranding. Well, I'm coming into Death Stranding playing this. Off of KCD 2
Yeah,
and a
that's
few
got-
other games. And
How much
like
was KCD 2? How many hours? You put in that?
180.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I really needed to beat this and put it down and come back to it later for the platinum. I'm like, I need to play some of
For
these new games.
Clair?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't looked at the platinum. How is it?
I don't know. It seems difficult. There are at the start. Fuck.
Yeah.
Kind of like do
Wait, why? There is no map, so you can't.
there's
play
a
it.
world map with
There is the
big-
world map. Yeah,
yeah,
the
with
open
the big
world
world.
map.
But it doesn't really like okay, it shows you where you're going, but
They
like
don't leave like little like.
here's the key, and if you hover the thing, you can see how many treasures you have left. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's none of that.
or icons for like a monster or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and I like the story. It's cool. I think it's different. It. I think it again. The fact that it's heavier and more dramatic, I think, is good. Like in a sad sense. Like again, I was comparing it to Final Fantasy X. We don't get a lot of games like this. Like even Final Fantasy 16 is a pretty serious game, but like it's very tonally different. Like
Yeah.
like it's a totally different world where this world is really small in scope. And it's very easily presentable. Like, okay, like people are dying every year. Very easy concept to understand.
there was like, it was a crazy year up in when Clair released.
I think KCD2 got a lot of people like you to play it.
But then I try to get a refund.
Yeah.
That's just because nothing against KCD2. It's just completely. It's way too meticulous for me.
Yeah, and that's fine. I don't think it's for everyone. I mean, Oblivion, kind of came.
That was a shadow drop. That was cool.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I remember they came out in the same week, and everyone was like, dude, Oblivion Remastered is going to eat Clair Obscur's lunch, and that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's really weird, because, I mean, like, they're similar games, both RPGs, very different RPGs, though. I'm kind of glad that didn't happen for their sake. It seems like it only propelled them. I think when we get to Game of the Years, I think Clair Obscur is going to be talked about a lot in terms of music, gameplay. Like, I'm sure it will be on Game of the Year. I don't think it's going to win. I think right now it's a toss-up between Death Stranding 2 and Kingdom Come Deliverance.
I don't think Kingdom Come Deliverance has that, like, grand appeal that...
Really? I feel like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 did. I disagree with you. I think a lot more people played that game than maybe you're giving credit to. But you have a different opinion because you didn't like it. I feel like a lot of people played that game.
Who do you know who played it? You and Trio?
I mean, off the top of my head, I think a few people in our Discord played it. I don't know. I feel like people in like online circles.
I don't think it's just wide, like has that wide appeal.
Maybe it sold well.
Yeah.
I
think it's a good game. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. It's just not an easy digestible game. Like you said, you put 100.
No, it's not. It's not.
I think
long.
that's like kind of
what Clair has over it.
I mean, I think it's gonna be a Death Stranding too. I know. I like already know when I'm done that game. It's probably gonna be my game of the year. And like I'm spending.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to envision the story not pushing you
just
over.
Just building fucking streets, roads, and just driving. And I'm like, I'm playing Truck Simulator.
I'm satisfied.
And I'm like, I am hooked.
Yeah, it's a gameplay loop that I'm really glad DS2 has. The divisiveness is not here with it that it was with the first one. It seems like people are really willing to drink Kojima's Kool-Aid this time around. I don't know why.
No, it just starts off quicker.
Oh yeah, for sure. The game is not as slow in the beginning.
Yeah, you get a vehicle really early. It's like, all right, cool.
Before when we were setting up, I was talking to Trio and I said to him, I'm like, it's very clear that like the Death Stranding 2 team looked at like the feedback from the first one from people who didn't like it and they changed it.
Yeah.
But for Clair Obscur for Sandfall, do you think we get a DLC for this? Do you think they move on to the sequel? Yeah.
I don't know. It's
I could see a DLC that's kind of like, oh, like this side little thing.
Yeah.
And it's like out of context.
I could see them putting
the
like a big patch or something that adds like, maybe the mini maps and stuff like that.
Yeah, we haven't really gotten any quality of life too much.
No.
They nerfed that Mael thing, right? Mm-hmm. But like that was it.
That was it. Which I don't know why. It's a single player game.
Yeah, it's always strange. It's like you're not like you're not being unfair.
Yeah. No, I'm really curious if they're gonna pick up like in the Clair Obscur world again for their next game. They're definitely gonna make something. I mean, people are gonna be like, next time they announce something, people are going to be excited about it.
I wonder how big they're going to expand their team because I feel like the conversation about Sandfall has been about, it's about 30 people.
Yeah.
About 30 people. Small team, about 30 people. Do they keep it the same, increase it a little bit? I think their charm is because they have such a small team.
Yeah, and they kind of it's unfortunate to say, but they got like the pressure's kind of on for their next game.
Yeah, who published? Clair. Gonna find out. It's not Xbox. Huh. It doesn't say. Kepler.
Okay.
Kepler Interactive. They also did, I think. I'm gonna tell you right now. That Flintlock game, Pacific Drive,
really?
Scorn, Sifu. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So they got like a
few
good catalog.
A few bangers under their belt. I mean,
yeah.
I wouldn't call Scorn a banger, but I liked it. Sifu
and that Flintlock game. Apparently, people was that the
that was that like Souls-like. That was like with the I think she was a black girl.
Flintlock
Came out like maybe last year.
Huh. I was thinking of a different Souls-like game.
Pacific Drive, I remember, was really popular. I'm not sure what it is though.
Sifu's definitely a banger though. That same didn't the same dev team that did Sifu just did that soccer
Rematch.
game?
Yeah, and
Rematch.
they also did that. That's here too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
they
Are
got
you
some
gonna
good games.
are you gonna try that as like a soccer fan?
Maybe. I mean, like my buddies who I'd play with it online, we're all playing like Night Rain right now, so like and they're hooked, so to pull them away from Night Rain might be tough.
Yeah. But before we wrap it up, anything else about Clair Obscur you want to get off your chest? Anything?
Not really. I mean, anything that we didn't touch on. I like the stupid little cosmetics that they had. And
The
stuff like that.
costumes, I wish there were more immersive ones. Like okay, the bathing suits are kind of funny, but like I don't want to rock that
Screw
in the
a couple
world.
of those little bullshit mini game like the climbing,
The jumping puzzles.
or the other one with the guy shooting.
Oh,
at a
dude.
aquarium.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Oh, that was rough. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, the cosmetics are all right, but again, I just wish there were like I'm like okay, I don't really want to wear this swimsuit. All the different hairstyles do look pretty cool. But yeah, and even the weapons and like I like the upgrading systems for the weapons, and you can upgrade your your potions and things like that, like your consumables. I felt like what you were getting in the world felt very good, and it's like okay, there's only a set amount of weapons, and if you find like another version of it, it upgrades it. Like I like that.
Yeah,
a
you'll
lot.
find like another version later, and it's like a weapon that I never upgraded. Now I have it to like plus 10. or
Right,
something.
whatever
Yeah,
that
cool.
level is. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great game. I'll let see more from the studio.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is where we'll end it there. If you've been watching live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network, we really appreciate your time and attention. You can find this podcast, well, everywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network. And you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/Delco Nerd Network. We are at Delco Nerds everywhere with an @ as well as facebook.com/Delco Nerd Network. And you can join our Discord, which is in the description of every podcast as well as everything I just mentioned. We were talking about Clair Obscur when it was coming out, but we're talking a lot about DS2, getting ready for Superman, Fantastic Four. So we talk about all things nerdy. So we hope you can join us in the Discord channel. And you can find all this information at DelcoNerdNetwork.com. You can also leave us an email at DelcoNerds or DelcoNerds@gmail.com. If you have any comments, questions, or things for the good of the group, we'd be happy.
If you want to text
address
Gucci, here's his cell phone number.
Yeah. If you
Want
want
his address? You want his address?
dude, don't come to my house. It's funny. I probably like doxed myself more times on this podcast. Well, the name of the podcast is very doxing, but we're fine. But my name is Anthony Ragucci. That's Matt Penza. Thank you for listening and watching. Stay nerdy, and we'll see you next time.